Aro, how's it going, man? Thanks for taking some time to do this.
Sure, man. Happy to help. How you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. Real quick, just intro yourself, where you're at, what you do.
Sure. I'm Baro Avad. I'm a pop producer based out of New Hope, Pennsylvania, and I go by the name Vertigo.
Fantastic, man. So tell me a bit about what your production business was like before we started to work together, just so we can kind of set the scene there. Struggles,
Sure.
obstacles, day to day.
Sure. So I started producing. I don't want to say I fell into it, but I was doing it as a part of many other things that I was doing at the time, all music related. And I found, producing music to be the thing that I enjoyed the most and wanted to kind of build up into something more full time. So I pretty much started looking for local clients, other artists, singers, songwriters. First started doing it for free just to kind of get my name out there, and eventually, that's not really a sustainable business model. So I started charging, and trying to look for other ways to bring in more artists to work with. So before starting to work with you, it was really inconsistent as far as when work was coming in. Um, I wasn't really sure how to get to find people to work with. I was essentially just cold emailing anyone I could find or going out to shows and finding people and trying to just get my name out there. But yeah, inconsistent in the beginning before we started.
Got it. Cool. And we've been working together for a fair amount of time.
Hmm.
And I know that it's taken some time to kind of lock some things down. Again, it looks different for each person. Sometimes it
Hmm.
takes this much time for this person, this much time for another person. But in general, what are things like now? What's the situation, the business like now as far as growth, particular wins you want to share, just in general, kind of the um, where we're at now with things.
Sure. Growth, yeah, like you said, growth has been a little bit slower than I would have liked, but I'm this. There's like other things going on in my life, other businesses that have been taking a bit of time and growing them as well. So it's not I take responsibility for the speed things are moving at, but I'm overall super pumped about the work we're doing. As far as the production business specifically, I feel like there's direction, there is support, um, you know, and there's always something new. There's always ways that we are refining what we're working on, really drilling down and finding what's working, putting away what doesn't work, trying new things. Um, so yeah, I mean, I have been picking up more clients. I am consistently working on something at all times. I'm consistently, finding new people to work with, and even for something down the road. But yeah, the consistency is there. I've been able to get my like marketing and branding and stuff like that I wasn't really good at. I wouldn't say I'm good at it now, but I'm definitely a lot better at it, and I am understanding how it all works a little bit better. So like working with you guys has really been able to give me a better sense on how to manage the business and how to grow it.
Yeah. What about rates? Have those increased?
Oh yeah. So when I first started, I'm almost embarrassed to say it, but like my first clients, I was doing $100 a track, which very quickly I learned was not sustainable. So then I was doing $400 a track for a while. And then shortly after working with you and kind of going over the amount of time that goes into it and, what other producers are charging, which, when I started, I had no idea what other people charge for this kind of thing. So I was kind of just throwing a number out into the air. But now I'm charging, 12.50 a track, and I increase it, every few months, six months or so. Just as, one, I'm getting busier, and two, I'm starting to, branch out and bring more people into the production team for each artist.
Cool. Love that. And you mentioned kind of an important thing at the beginning with growth being slow. And one of the things that I've been impressed with you is your willingness to stay in the game and figure it out. You know what I mean? And say, okay, cool. Like why is it growing slow? Like what's going on? Is it a situational thing, or is it a systems thing, or have we just not locked something down yet? And I think a lot of people, whether they're working with somebody to get help or not, they either become comfortable with slow growth, or it's the thing that kind of knocks them out of the game. Like, oh, well, this isn't going to work out for me. And they do something else.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think, what I guess motivated you to just want to stay in the game despite not we all have expectations, right? And they're all like, oh yeah, I'm going to go and do this. And sometimes when we don't hit expectations, we crumble. What prompted you to just stay in and make sure and keep growing, and actually break through those points of uncomfort, or those points of, stagnation, I guess?
A few
Is that a word?
things.
Stagnation?
I think it is.
Being
Yeah.
stagnant.
It's a few things. Before producing full time, I played in bands for years. I built up like a private music lessons business, and both of those other things took a really long time before, they were steady for me. So I guess I'm just used to, having things take a while, and working through problems, and knowing that it's a slow process. It's going to take time. And there's a lot of stuff that I don't know and I'm still improving at, that I know that, I'm not going to get amazing at them overnight.
Right. And you've seen, because you're obviously in our group with a bunch of different guys at different levels doing things, and you've obviously seen people come in and, you know, technically hit goals really fast, but then of course that can create problems as well. And some of them don't recover, you know? So basically it's what I'm trying to say is there's difficulties either way, right?
Mm-hmm. For sure.
The absolute slowest way is to just not have a plan towards anything or any data or, any guidance.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Um,
And a nice thing about, working with you is that even though things are going slow, we can identify why they're going slow, or ways to, change course if we need to. I get some feedback, which is super useful for me, because then I can take that and make changes as I need to.
right. And it's also the, relatively right, slow, right? So a
Sure.
lot of
Yeah.
people, it takes, gosh, I mean, a decade for them to get up to charging 12.50 a song,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So if we're able to do that in a year or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
then, or less than a year, slow maybe compared to some of the guys that come into the program and do that in a week,
Mm-hmm.
but still relatively faster than the alternatives.
Yes. Yeah, no, it definitely is faster, and it would be way slower if I tried to do it myself. And a lot more frustrating because there's no feedback or support system behind me.
That kind of leads me into my next question, which is why, I mean, there's business courses, there's getting advice from people, like why hire or get into a business development program like this? Why did you choose to take that route?
For me, it's part of it is accountability. Um, I don't think I'm an extraordinarily lazy person, but I know, like, having somebody, to check in on me, and for me to say, for me to at least share my progress and growth over time is a motivating factor, because then it's like, oh, well, I have to do this because, someone's going to be on me if I'm not hitting my goals. Um, Also, I have other businesses where I've hired consultants to help me grow and run them. So I've kind of been through the process before, and I know that, it is an investment to make, but you do get a good return out of it in terms of, it frees up time. The speed of growth is going to be a little bit faster than if you were trying to do it on your own. And ultimately, it leads to bigger profits down the road, right?
Mm-hmm. Nothing is more expensive than struggling.
Yeah.
That's the most expensive route. Someone not
Mm-hmm.
knowing what to do for, 2, 3, 4 years, or marginal. Maybe they do okay, but it's
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, but if we had that dialed in and it was good, then we could have been doing double or this, or we could have been doing that. So
Yeah.
yeah. get you.
Yeah, when I first started producing, it was, I was like, man, I wish I like had someone. I didn't know if it was like I needed a manager or something or what, but I was like someone to help me grow my business that like actually knows what they're doing and has some steps or plans that I can take, to use for myself.
What was the scariest part about getting into this with me, making that decision?
Mm, scariest part. I mean, well, part of it is I didn't know you at the time. I think we had just maybe talked on Facebook for a little bit. So it was kind of like, oh, who is this person? Um, I didn't think it was a scam or anything like that, but it was, I guess the scariest part was not knowing if there was going to be any results from after the time commitment.
So if you were afraid that there wouldn't be any results, what made you still say yes?
Um, well, I mean, you sounded like you knew what you were talking about. You had referred me to some other guys you'd worked with that were doing really well. Um, the fact that you have a track record, starting and running songwriting team, which I had heard of before, so that definitely gave you some credibility. Um, and the fact that I was just looking for some guidance too, and it wasn't such a large investment that it was like gonna, make me broke or anything. So it seemed like a good risk to return ratio.
So I'm going to give you the consultant answer is that, you can be, obviously if we didn't know each other well, that's just a thing, right? But ultimately why you said yes is you believed in you.
Okay, that's a good
Believed
answer
in
too.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I do believe myself. So,
Yeah. Because I mean, it's how I look at it. So it's like when I invest in something, which I do a lot, various courses and obviously, expensive mentors myself. But
yeah.
even like a course or something, I buy a couple a month. And because I'm like, hey, if there's one thing in here that I don't know or like a different angle that obviously I buy these to help you guys because there's maybe
Hmm.
some other thing we're not thinking about. I know I'll figure it out and make it work, like because I believe in me. If they've done this before, they're going to give me the information or guidance or whatever. I'm gonna do my part and make it work. And that's something I think that whenever someone takes a risk to hire someone that they may not know yet really that well and not know about, like, I mean, our program to the public's kind of vague, right? Like people are
Hmm.
just like, okay, whatever. It's because, they're willing to bet on themselves. And obviously that's what I look for because I
Hmm.
can't carry the weight of that,
Right.
uh, they have to kind of have that for sure. Um, cool. So, just any quick advice to anyone out there that may have been kind of in your situation? You don't just have to say like, "Oh, go hire Dan," right? But like actual advice, maybe what a big kind of breakthrough for you was, or what you feel like has been the most important thing that you've learned, or important decision. Just to give a general advice to someone who may be wanting to grow their music production business.
um, be ready to hustle, to grind, be patient. This is not gonna happen overnight in any way, and be open to opportunities. Like, things will. You might be working on one thing, and something else may come along and help you out that you weren't anticipating. So just be open to opportunities. And be ready to put in the work because it does take work, it does take time, and you have to invest in all that. Time investment, money investments. Um, so don't expect things to happen overnight, I guess.
Love it. Cool, man. Appreciate it.
Sure thing. Happy to help.